What's going on, YouTube? This is Boxingwave. Please subscribe, like, comment on the video. I'm going to get straight into it. This is going to be another video about Benavidez and Canelo, all right, as you can see in the title. I just want to react to, I guess, what I see on social media this past week. We know Benavidez stopped Andre last week, you know what I mean? And I did make some content on that already, but I guess I want to react to, the responses to me and also what I've seen on social media and other content creators and stuff like that. But there's a lot of, the one thing about Canelo is that he's kind of unpredictable. You know what I mean? When it comes to the next opponents, Canelo has the option to do what he wants to do. He is a legacy fighter, but he's still like the guy that can pick and choose who he wants to fight. Like, anyone is willing to fight Canelo Alvarez. We know that, right? The Jamel Charlo fight didn't go well, and it's not really Canelo's fault. Jamel just failed to engage. And we know that he has a 3-fight deal. That was the first fight of the 3-fight deal with the Ppvs. Now, the Ppvs is no longer with Showtime, so we don't know exactly where they're going to go. We're hearing Amazon Prime, their deal is close to being finished. All right. So while we wait and see what Canelo is going to do next, is he going to fight in May? Is he going to fight in September? Is he going to stay with the PBC? Who's going to be his opponents? We don't really know, but there's a lot of names that's being thrown around right now. Now, most people want Benavidez, and we're going to start there. And I want to reply to some of you guys. Look, and I have to keep saying this. I have said it for other fighters in other divisions. When it comes to big name fighters, fanboys, look, man, I know there's always going to be narratives that's always going to be pushed amongst the boxing community. I mean, that's what people do. At the end of the day, that's what they do. There's a lot of reasons why people don't like Canelo. It could be because I really don't know. I can name a million reasons why people dislike. I've heard all of the reasons why people dislike Canelo. Okay, it could be for the drug test. It could be for the selected opponents, the judges, whatever, the resume, whatever, certain fights. It could be for whatever. Rehydration clauses. I don't know. Maybe because he's Mexican. Maybe because he's, maybe they're jealous in some kind of way. I really have no idea. But what I know is that there are going to always be narratives push. But the majority of boxing fans want to still see good fights. And the reason why Benavidez's name keeps getting brought up is not simply because people are hating on Canelo. Let's make that clear. All right? There are people that simply want to watch the fight because it's a good stylistic matchup. It's going to be action-packed. Canelo has the experience. He has the superior boxing skills, in my opinion. He has the power. He has the fame. He has all that shit, right? And you got Benavidez. He's the younger guy. He's also somewhat from Mexican descent. He is, he's a pressure fighter. He gets knockouts. You know what I mean? He's a volume puncher. It's a good matchup. It can't be a boring fight. It can't be a Jamel Charlo fight. You know what I mean? It can't go that way. Why? Because Canelo is normally not in a boring fight unless the opponent just doesn't belong in there with him at all, and they move the way that he moved, or it just can't. But this fight, it makes sense, and I've thought it made sense since Canelo started his run at 168 when he decided that he was gonna unify and fight all of these champions at 168. I knew Benavidez got stripped. I said it was his fault for being stripped. I know people back then were saying that Canelo was ducking him, but I was never saying that. But I also said to you guys, Benavidez would be the toughest fight even back then. And that was 4 years ago. He's gotten better. He has more experience. He's coming off some big wins. So with all that being said, there's certain people here. There's a lot of people. I don't want to say certain. Most boxing fans just want to see a good fight. Benavidez is coming off his 2 best wins in his career. All right, one of them was against someone that Canelo already had just recently beat, and the other one was someone that a lot of people said Canelo was ducking in 2 different divisions. So we or me and plenty of us just want to see a good fight. We want to see the Benavidez fight. And Benavidez has proven himself to do that. Now, I know Canelo can do what he wants because I know Canelo has been in this position plenty of times before. There was a lot of fighters that Canelo actually fought that people said that he would never face. There were some cherry picks in there, but there are fights in there that were challenging. There was plenty of fights in there that were dangerous for him. And he took those challenges. You know what I mean? There's a lot of good names on his resume. And I say that all the time. But let's stop protecting him. For the people that are pushing that narrative, the people that are saying, why do you want to fight him? You must hate him. Why he's older now. He shouldn't even have to have those fights. These are the comments that I read. He's too short. He's too old. He deserves an easy fight. All of that stuff that I hear and that I read from you guys. Stop protecting him. You know why? We know that Canelo can do what he wants. But hear me out. And this goes for all of the other guys like the Tank Davises of the world. Anyone that is charging for pay-per-views, making the biggest money, being called the face of boxing, is undisputed. Defend your titles. Defend your titles. If you don't want to defend your titles, move up to the next division, vacate the titles, let them be free. Somebody else can fight them. Being that Canelo has still held on to these titles, right? Was cool with fighting a junior middleweight. He was cool with that fight. And you guys were cool with it too. He fought a junior middleweight. He won the fight easily. All right, let's move on. He is still undisputed. And when it comes to being champion, especially being unified or undisputed, there are responsibilities that come with that. And part of those responsibilities is to defend those titles because you are the man. And if you are the face of boxing, like a lot of you guys, I don't, but a lot of you guys like to argue about that shit all day. Is it Tank? Is it Canelo? Who's the face? I don't do all that stuff. But being that Canelo is the face of boxing, to me, he should be fighting the best fighters that's out there. Yeah, take a tune-up or take a lighter touch here and there. Jamel, in my opinion, was the lighter touch. So I think he should fight Benavidez. And when it comes to all these other guys that I'm about to name right now, fight Benavidez. Toughest fight to me, most proven fighter at 168 outside of Canelo. He's the top contender. He's a former champion. I know he lost it on the scale. I know he lost it to recreational drugs and all that stuff. Cool. This is his third chance. He seems more motivated now than he ever done in his career. He's better now. He's improved now. Let's get the fight. I know people are talking about the pay-per-view. The pay-per-view did only 60K. Who expected the pay-per-view to do good? No one. I didn't. Why would it do good? They're having a pay-per-view every other week. How many pay-per-views did we get this year? We probably got the most pay-per-views this past 12 months than we ever got in boxing ever. We're getting crazy amount of pay-per-views. And then you got other sports you got to compete with, like MMA. Pay-per-views, ridiculous. Subscription fees going up. Who's going to pay for that shit? Everybody is streaming. It's very easy to stream. Whether you go on a website, whether you got a Fire Stick, it's very easy to stream. People are not paying for it. And I know certain fighters like Canelo, because he's a face of boxing, still does good pay-per-view wise. Yes, he does still do good. Yes, he is the face of boxing. It doesn't mean that he, as an undisputed champion, because you can always be like Tank and vacate the titles and be the junior WBA champ, where you have no responsibility, no mandatories, no obligations. I just said this in my last video about Tank. So being that you don't have any of those, you could be that. But you're undisputed. So you should be fighting the best. And if it's not Benavidez, it should be Dave Morrell. Why? Because Dave Morrell, not nearly as proven as Benavidez is, but Dave Morrell is in position to fight for a title because he is a junior WBA title holder. So before we pull up all of these guys like Crawford, like Munguia, like Charlo, like all these other guys that have not done shit at 168, before we pull up all those guys, I think Canelo should fight David Benavidez or David Morrell, because both of them are in position to fight for a title right now. The Mexican holidays is coming up. You got 2 fights with the PBC. Those other 2 fighters are PBC fighters. It should be real easy to make the fight. Either for May, one in September, whatever you do, a rematch, whatever you want to do. Now, the other options. Yes, Munguia's name is coming up. Recently, Munguia's name is coming up. All right, is he gonna fight Jaime Munguia? I know Golden Boy at one point was setting up Munguia to eventually get a fight with Canelo, even probably when Canelo was with them. Okay, I don't want to see that fight. Munguia is not anywhere near on Canelo's level, in my opinion. He's a fun fighter to watch, but he is fighting. He's been fighting at his level for a while now. You know what I mean? I think Munguia is good for like a Janabek fight or a Charlo fight, even maybe, a Charlo, or maybe even an Andre fight. You know what I mean? Or if Canelo doesn't fight Benavidez should maybe fight that guy. You know what I mean? And I'll get to that in a second. But when it comes to Canelo and Munguia, it's like, for what? Munguia's with Golden Boy. He's not a PBC. That's not part of the deal unless PBC is willing to fund that fight and they do a cross-platform thing. But no one's asking for that fight. No one's asking for it, unless they're extreme Munguia fans. But it's no performance of Munguia that makes me think he would compete with Canelo. Just like I didn't think Jermell Charlo would compete with Canelo. And Jamal Charlo is just coming off a 10-round win against a super welterweight. Couldn't even stop him. Why in the world right now would I want to see Jamal Charlo face Canelo? I know people are like running with that narrative, the narratives that y'all run with. Well, you guys wanted to fight for all these years. Yes, we did, when the guy was in his prime. He is not that right now. He might get back to it, but he's not that right now. He's not. Did I want to see it at 154? Absolutely. Did I want to see it from 160 a little bit? Yes. Was I making content saying that Canelo is ducking him? Absolutely not. Never did. Never did. I never said that on this channel. I know a lot of you come here, you see me that I'm black, you think I'm running with that narrative. I've never said that on this channel. I never said Jamal Charlo is being ducked by Canelo Alvarez. I know some people that did. I never said that. Did I want to see that fight? Yes, absolutely. It was a good fight. It's not a bad fight, but right now, no. I think his brother had a better chance of winning than Jamal do right now. And his brother's a smaller guy. Now, I know, again, Canelo could do whatever he wants because he's the face of boxing and he's for all these good fighters. I understand that. But right now, Benavidez is that guy. Why would you fight Jamal Charlo? For what? What are you bringing? What is he bringing? He's not bringing any more pay-per-view numbers. I know Benavidez just failed that pay-per-view, but what are the other options that's bigger for him? Terrence Crawford. Terrence Crawford is the other option, but we just seen Canelo fight a guy that moved up 2 divisions. Now you guys want us to see a guy that move up from 3 divisions to fight him? Now, it would probably be a better fight because I don't think Terrence Crawford is going to just actually just go in there to survive. I think Crawford would actually go in there to win. I think he's that crazy. But there are weight classes for a reason, just like Crawford said. And even though they gassing him up, there are weight classes for a reason. And as much as I would love for him to win that fight, he's not winning that fight. He's not winning that fight. I don't want to see the fight. I mean, I would love to see the fight. But there are more meaningful fights, more competitive fights up there at 168. And I think that fight in Benavidez or Morrell at 168 right now in May or September is more competitive than Terrence Crawford moving up 3 weight divisions to fight Canelo Alvarez. It doesn't matter if I think Crawford is more skilled or he has a better boxing IQ. There are weight classes for a reason. Think he's more skilled than Anthony Joshua too. Doesn't mean that I want him to go up there and fight him. You know what I mean? Like, what are we doing? I don't want Canelo to go up to fight Usyk. When you guys were running around here saying that he'll go up there and beat Usyk, you guys were saying that before he lost to Bevo. So there's another top dog there. I know pay-per-view wise he didn't do great. I know he didn't do great. But who did? Out of all the other options, who did? Did David Morrell do better pay-per-views? Did Jaime Munguia do better pay-per-views? Crawford did. He did good pay-per-views. It would be a good pay-per-view. But you're fighting a little guy, and if you beat him, it's going to be no credibility in that. It's a lose-lose for Canelo. Why? Because if he beats Crawford, it's going to be like, so what? He just beat a guy that moved up 3 divisions to fight him. He did that in his last fight. And if you lose to Crawford, it'll probably be one of the most embarrassing losses in recent years. I even heard some of you guys say that it might be the greatest win of all time. Period. I mean, this generation it would be. I don't even like guys fighting going up 2 divisions. I didn't like when Mikey did it. I didn't like when Rigo did it. I didn't like it when Kell Brook did it. Consistency. So why would I like it if Crawford did 3 division? I didn't even like it when Jamel did it. You guys saw my videos. Consistent. So the way I look at this situation moving forward, I already made my point. If Canelo doesn't fight any of the 168 guys, and if he does fight a Munguia or if he does fight a Jamal Charlo, I think when it comes to David Benavidez, he's not going to get left off the hook. You fight David Morrell. If you're interested in fighting Munguia or Charlo or whoever else, fight David Morrell. He's right there. You were supposed to fight him anyway in place of Andre. Fight David Morrell now. If Morrell and Benavidez don't get Canelo, let those 2 fight. I think when it comes to Benavidez, I mean, Morrell has called out everybody. He's willing to fight anyone. I mean, he's the guy that want to come up. He's levels below as far as resume. He's below Benavidez, and that's cool. So he's the guy on the come up. So he's hungry. He's looking to fight anyone. Cool. But if David Benavidez, as focused as he seems, and he's ready, he's talking about getting back in the gym soon, and he's prepping, he wants to stay around close to the weight, that's great. Like that. Focus. Cool. There's work to be done if you're not going to base your career around Canelo. Because if Canelo decides not to fight you, Canelo retires tomorrow, or Canelo goes up in weight again to fight somebody, I don't know, Bevo in a rematch at some point, who knows? If Canelo does not fight you, you still got to have your career. And that's the problem with Andrade. He and some other fighters, a lot of their careers didn't pop off because they were waiting around to get that super fight. That's why I like what Devin Haney is doing. I like what Shakur Stevenson is doing. I like what Lomachenko is doing. I like what all those guys, Teofimo, these guys wanted Tank, but Tank didn't want them. So what did they do? They still took other fights. While Ryan and Tank was talking about who's more famous and all of that, pay-per-view this, other guys moved on with their career. So I think Benavidez should do the same. I read somewhere that he said something, he'll fight anyone's name that's attached, like Munguia or whatever. Cool, that's great news. In the meantime, until you get Canelo, in the meantime, take out whatever else is available. And that includes Morrell, Charlo, Munguia, or whoever decides to go up at 168. And if Canelo goes to 175, you go to 175. Because you really just hanging around at this point. You know? Or say at 168, do what you want to do, you know? But it doesn't change for anybody. I want everybody to fight top tier fighters. You know, people are bringing up Crawford as if they don't know. To me, they bring up Crawford as if he is not contracted to fight Spence next. Boots is not David Benavidez, guys. He's not David Benavidez. He's not. Crawford just literally became undisputed months ago. He's picking up the baggage of Errol Spence. Okay? I would love for him to fight Boots if he stays at 147. I would love for him to fight Boots if he stays down there. But obviously he said, I wanted Canelo. You know, he wanted Charlo, but Charlo is, I don't know. Charlo doesn't have all the belts anymore. He's coming off a bad loss, so I don't know. Maybe he lost interest in that. But you guys that's pushing that narrative, so you're talking about narratives again, the N word. If, you know, if he got to fight Errol Spence, what do you want him to do? He got to fight Errol Spence again. He doesn't want to fight him. He has to. He agreed on it. Why are you guys talking about Boots? And who did Boots fight? Boots is not a former 2-time champion like Benavidez was. Who did Boots fight? Benavidez, you guys were saying Benavidez didn't fight anyone. But he fought Darrell, who was a champion. Boots has not even done a Darrell level of a fighter yet. Oh, I'm sorry, he did. He did fight Limpiñez. Limpiñez was a former champion. He was a former champion. And he's fought some contenders, but Benavidez is further along. You know, and Boots is kind of where Morrell is right now. He's around that area. Again, I would love Crawford to fight him, but if the man is pushing to be another division champion at Undisputed, I ain't going to be mad at him. But it really depends on what he does. And some people keep saying Keith Thurman. I mean, I don't want to see the Keith Thurman fight more than Boots fight. But if he fights Keith Thurman, I mean, the guy is a former unified champion. I mean, it is what it is. You know? But it's not the same thing. For you guys that's doing that, that's running with that, I know some of you are still bitter that Spence lost the fight. And I know a lot of you I support Terrence Crawford. So you're throwing that angle at me as if it means shit over here. It doesn't. It really doesn't. I'm talking about Canelo and David Benavidez, which would be a good fight. When you want to see that fight, if you don't want to see the fight, it's probably because you're a little bit worried about Canelo possibly losing that fight. Be honest with yourself. Are you concerned? Are you worried about Canelo? If you are, then I can see why you're battling people that want to see the fight. It's a good fight. All right, so I think I'm done speaking on that. I can finally move on from that, man. You never really move on because, you know what? I like this fight, man. And I might talk about it some more. I love this fight. I've been talking about it for a while now. I love the fight. You'd be hating on me because I love the fight. I want to see the fight. All right. But anyway, again, subscribe, leave comments, smash the like button, share the video. I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.